Hi, this is cbradiomagazine.com, and today we're going to look at the Superstar 121. This is an AM/FM 10-meter export radio. This radio has low, mid, and high band frequencies. It's a very simplistic export in the sense that it has some features that you don't find on a normal CB, but it doesn't have a lot of the frivolous features that you find on some of the higher end models such as Echo and things like that. So let's zoom in, we'll take a look at some of the features. Okay, looking at the left side of the radio, you can see it has a standard meter on it, very much like a Cobra 148 or Cobra 29. We have our volume control, which is also the on-off control for the radio. Squelch, mic gain. Above here we have a three-way switch. The switch can control the different functions of the meter. So you have an S or RF function, so you can see power or incoming signal. SWR, you can check your SWR, and a calibration to calibrate for your SWR. Just to the right of that, we're going to have our ANL and NB ANL, so our automatic noise limiter and noise blank functions. And this has two positions in the switch, so you can have it either in the ANL position or in the top here in the noise blank ANL position for a lot of filtering and stuff, especially if you're getting engine noise. We have RF gain. On the RF gain knob here, you can also pull it out to turn on the PA function of the radio. And just to the right up here, we have a power control. This radio does have not variable power, but it does have two power level settings, so you can go on a low power or a high power setting. That's very nice if you want to be running an amplifier or something behind this radio. So what you can do is set your low power setting to run in between 1 to 2 watts, depending on how much you want to drive your amplifier. Moving over to the right side of the radio, this radio does come equipped with a Roger beep. It's either an off position or an on position. You have a switch to operate on AM or FM. There's an SWR calibration knob here, so you can calibrate when you do want to use the SWR position on that switch to the left that we just showed. And there's a band switch, so you can have low, mid, or high bands of frequencies that you can go into. There's a TX and RX switch. Lights red when you're transmitting, green on receive, channel display, and your channel selector control. So let's take the covers off and we'll have a look inside. I'll show you some of the adjustment points and talk a little bit about modifications for the radio. Okay, once you remove the top cover of the radio, remember this is the solder side of the board, not the speaker side. This is where you do your conversion if you want to convert the Superstar 121 for CB radio or 11-meter use. There is a orange wire that runs in this section. You'll need to either unsolder it or clip it. If you clip it, you want to clip it really close to the solder point. You don't want any stray wires hanging around that can make contact anywhere. You want to make a real clean removal of that wire. The second thing you'll need to do is there is a chip on the other side of the board here, and these pins are where the pins from the chip come up through, and there will be 3 towards the front here that will not be soldered in. They won't be soldered to the board. You'll see the little pins from the chip sticking through. What you'll need to do is add solder and solder up those pins so they make contact with the board. We want to make sure that there is no solder connecting any of the pins. You don't want anything, globs of it connecting 2 of them. They need to be individual. And once you get those soldered in, power up the radio. It should work on 11 meters when it's set to the mid control on the front band. Okay, this is the speaker side of the radio. We removed the bottom cover. Looking down at the board, we can see some of the locations and tuning points. For this radio, VR16 is going to be your high power adjustment, and the location for it is up front here, right here. VR13 is going to be your low power dead key adjustment, and that would be right here, VR13. Now, as far as modulation control on this radio is going to have 2 pots, VR12 and VR14. This is VR12 here, and VR14 is a little bit hidden, but it's right here, right next to each other. So they're real close to the power adjustment settings. For experimentation purposes, I did try removing the limiter. When I did so, I did find that with this radio with the limiter removed, I really didn't run into a whole lot of problems with distortion or overmodulation. The limiter removing TR32 with this radio actually gave it a nice loud sound, which people would expect out of an export radio like a Galaxy or such, and it actually came out sounding really nice even with stock microphone. In most cases, I don't ever recommend removing a limiter. You know, in this particular radio, I think you get away with it, and the results are actually pretty good. So let me show you where that's located. It's right over here, and it's actually removed, so we can't see it right now. But it's TR32. Overall, I was very impressed with the Superstar 121. It has a lot of functions on it, high-low power settings, which I do like, especially if you're going to be running an amplifier. It's nice to be able to have it on the switch. Sometimes with variable controls, it's a little too easy to knock it or not know where to set it just right for where you want to run it. So having just a switch is actually a nice feature. I'm sure a lot of drivers out there will appreciate that. With the 1969 final, you know, it's not a dual final radio, so you're not going to see a 10-watt dead key swinging over 30 watts on this radio, but you can actually get pretty good wattage out of it. Audio, like I said, once I removed TR32 on this radio, audio really jumped up. Was not overly distorted. You know, you can run a stock microphone, adjust the mic gain to 12 o'clock, and have very crystal clear audio on this radio with the limiter removed. I really like the way it's laid out. I like the all black. You know, it's not too shiny or anything, especially if you don't want to throw a radio in your car that looks like bling. It's going to attract robbers or things like that. The control functions, you know, good controls. They're not loose. Very good feel for them. Everything's laid out very simply, and yeah, overall, I think it's a great little radio. We're going to be doing up our full review and writing with pictures. You can see that on cbradiomagazine.com. Thank you.